Final Rich here with vinyl video number 21. I'm actually making 2 videos in the same day. Never done that before. But I got these records, so you know what? I'm feeling it. Might as well show them. Oh. Before we get started, cheers. Coors Light this time. No bud. This is a no bud household. Cheers, everybody. Okay, I want to thank Fishman. He asked for my address, and you know I wasn't leery to give him the address out. He's a really cool guy, and he's all the way up there in Canada. You know, how much of a threat is he? But I was reluctant. I will say that, and the reason being is this VCLT, is it, thing. I'm kind of like in the camp with Bobby Gass. It's like, man, you give me a record and then I got this. Okay, what do I got to give him back? And is it going to be as good? And then you probably overcompensate and give him more than what you should, and then he overcompensates and give you back. And I don't need all this stress, you know, to be honest. I mean, I know the thought's good, and I don't know, just call me a cranky old fucker, just like Bobby Gass, but I don't know. Anyways, he sent me this Latin salsa, Latin jazz. Man, it's got like 47 songs on there. It's like, what the hell? And I haven't heard it all. I've been listening to it on my way to work the last 3 days. That's when I do still have CDs, folks, and I do listen to them. That's what I listen to in the car. And I must say I like the Latin jazz stuff better than I do the salsa. So far, Jungle Fire is by far my favorite stuff that I've heard. I really like that, and I will seek them out. Out of the salsa stuff, I think his name, I can't remember exactly, but I believe it's Ray Barbaretto, something like that, I believe. And I like the song from him a lot. And the reason being, it seems like all these salsa songs, they have these horn, what do you call it, the horn sections, brass sections, and I'm not a real big fan of that. I like individual sax, individual flute, individual trumpet, but these brass sections, I've never really been a big fan of that. There are some albums that I do like in spite of that, the brass sections, because the music's so good. But the salsa, it's not my thing. But the one thing I've noticed, I mean, obviously the percussion, I mean, it's cool. But the one thing I really dig on these salsa songs is the keyboards. These keyboard guys are really fucking good. And I'll listen to it all, and I'll probably listen to it again, you know. Anyways, let's get started with showing some records. First record here is a single I just bought. The Psycho Sisters. Dark Stuff was talking about this band. I think he saw them, and I'd never heard of them. It's Susan Cowsill from the Cowsills and Vicky Peterson from the Bangles. And I go, wow, never heard of them. Picked up this single, haven't played it yet, so I can't really. I guess I should have waited to make this video, but anyways, really cool single. Came out in the 90s. I believe. I don't remember. 93 sticking in my head, but anyways, it's on black vinyl. Anyways, sounds like it will be cool. Cal Seals and the Bangles, yes. Metal Theologian. He did a really good video recently on ECM records, and I'm not a really big ECM fan. Most of their stuff, it sounds like easy listening jazz, and I'm not really the easy listening type, you know what I mean? I like hardcore punk. But anyways, I did pick up an ECM record recently, and it's kind of ironic. It's that glitter right there. It's a Chikara Gary Burton album. What is it called? The Lyrics Suite for Sextet. And the reason I got this, I mean, I like Chikara and I do like Gary Burton. But the lineup here is Chikara piano, Gary Burton, the vibes, and then you got a viola player, a second violin, a viola, and a cello. I go, man, that's a pretty interesting lineup. And I haven't played the whole album. I did play some tracks off of this, and I was kind of disappointed. The string section is just a typical string section. I thought they were going to be, you know, intermingling, and it's not that. And as usual, ECM kind of let me down, but I will give it another chance. I haven't played the whole album, so, and it's on ECM. There's no need to show the label. This next album, this is a band that I really wasn't into in the 70s. Really wasn't into them in the 80s when they blew up. I did see them in concert, and they were spectacular in concert. I saw them at Dodger Stadium, of all things. And it's Genesis. This is my third Genesis album I've bought since kind of being a member of the BC since, what, March or so of this year. And this is a really good album. In fact, all three albums that I bought of theirs so far, really good. Nursery Crime, Gatefold. This is a really good band. And it's surprising, because I was into Yes, I was into ELO, the very early 70s. I love King Crimson. Their first album, everybody says it's a classic, but I don't know. It's not my favorite, let's put it that way. But this is a really good album. It's on the famous Charisma label. I'll take it out. What the heck? It's on the famous Charisma label. And it's a really good album. Now this next one I'm going to show, this is actually one of the first jazz albums I ever heard. I was a youngster in high school, and I think I might have been a sophomore. So it would have been, what, 71 or so. And I was in a music appreciation class, and there was one day where the teacher said you could bring your own record and you could play a song. I couldn't be bothered, but this one guy I knew, he brought this album, Gary Burton, Good Vibes. And the song he played, I think it was Las Vegas Tango. I might be wrong. God, that was a rocking song, and it was really cool. The only jazz that I had really gotten into before this was Miles Davis. I remember I used to go to Kmart with my parents, and they would go shopping, and I would go to the record section, and I would look at, even if I didn't have money, I would look at the records, and there were two bands that I really wasn't familiar with that really just sparked my interest, and I was really intrigued with their album covers. One was the Mothers of Invention. I just liked looking at their records. And I finally bought a Mother Mania, I think it was their supposedly their greatest hits. That was the first one I bought of theirs. But I remember looking at their albums and just thinking, man, these guys there's something about them, you know. And the other one was Miles Davis. His album covers are just this guy. He was so striking, you know. And I remember looking at his albums, and I finally bought one, and I go, wow. That really, Miles Davis was my the gate that opened me to jazz in the early 70s. By the late 70s, I lost interest. Punk came in. I got more into punk. 80s jazz, I just never really got into. And in fact, I recently just bought my first 80s jazz album. So we'll see what happens. You know, I have a very open mind. But anyways, this was one of the first jazz albums that I ever really heard. And it's a really good album. I know some people don't like Vibes, but got the original inner sleeve, and it's on Atlantic. Very cool. This next album, dog barking, is Wayne Shorter, Mato Grosso Fio. I don't know. Gee, man. I should have thought about this earlier. But it's got Chick Corea, John McLaughlin, Ron Carter, Dave Holland, and Michelin Priel. I mean, that's a lineup, dude. The only one I haven't heard is this Michelin guy, you know. This album was recorded in 1970, maybe 1971. Wasn't released until 1974. He recorded another album after this, I believe in 74. They released that one, then they released this one after. And this album is, it's not commercial at all, and apparently that's why they didn't release it. All the songs are very similar. The drums, it's not like a beat-driven album at all. It's very spacey. I don't know what the terms, these jazz terms. I mean, I hear people call spiritual jazz, and I really don't know what that means, but this kind of seems like, I don't know, it's that vein. It's not that Pharoah Sanders, where the guy's blowing the saxophone through his nose type of shit. It's very subtle. Very subtle stuff. And, I mean, Chick Corea is the marimba, drums, and percussion. That's what he plays on the album. He's not playing keyboards. And it's a pretty cool album. It's got a little dirt on there, but I'll be able to clean that up. You know, see right here, but I'll be able to clean that up. I would give it 3 stars out of 5. It's not a great album. It's not as good as the last Wayne Shorter album that I showed, but it's definitely deserving of some more listens, and it's very interesting. It's a pretty cool album, actually, and it's kind of dirty, you know, but I can clean this up. The sleeve it came in was, I don't know if you can see that, it's nighttime here. It was pretty grungy, brown, orange. It's supposed to be white. But the album is in really good color. I mean, good shape, good color. And it's on this blue note, this dark blue note. It's a pretty good album. I mean, it's something I will listen to again when you're in a certain mood. It's not, I like my jazz, I like that fusion jazz, that Miles Davis, Weather Report, Herbie Hancock. This is kind of like some of the Weather Report songs, you know, when they would have like a fast jamming song, then they would have that slow song. This is what that album sounds like. And every album is kind of like that. They could have broke it up a little more. And the other album that they recorded in 74 and released that year is very similar. Next album, oh my goodness, I couldn't believe when I found this one. I recently showed Curtis Mayfield In the World, and I said that was his high point. That and Superfly. Well, this one came out right after, and it's just as good. I mean, it might miss it by this much as being as good, but it's as good. Man, this is still in the shrink. It is a gatefold, but it's in the shrink, so I haven't opened it. Curtis Mayfield, Sweet Exorcist. What a good album, man. And it's got the sticker on here, something about Kung Fu. Includes the hit, Kung Fu. The hit none of us ever heard, you know. Great. This is a really good album, though, man. Love Curtis Mayfield. And for me, this is, at this point, this was when he was in his height. Really dig the guy. And it's in the original sleeve, and it's, of course, on the Curtin label. There you go. Now this next album, this one even blew me away more than the Curtis Mayfield. James Brown, There It Is. This album is really good, man. Especially the first songs on both sides. Side 1 has There It Is. Parts 1 and 2. James Brown was doing that. And then side 2 has Talking Loud and Saying Nothing. This is a really good, funky album, dude. This is James Brown, early 70s. Funky shit, man. And this is the label. Got that Polydor with that James Brown. Now the last album I'm going to show, I just recently won a Tim Allen's contest, and I got Nuggets number 3. Ran across Nuggets Volume 4. Picked it up. So now the only one I really need is Volume 5. I know they have a bunch after it, but the first 6 is all I'm going to get. Really good album. It's Nuggets Volume 4, Pop Part 2. Really good. 60s really cool songs. I mean, I like this series. And it's on the standard Rhino label. Anyways, that's it for me. Looks like the Mets are going to finally win a game in the World Series. I'm a Dodgers fan. So most people in LA, they're rooting for KC. I don't like KC. I'm rooting for the Mets. I kind of prefer the National League over the American League. I mean, I can't respect a team that doesn't even let their pitcher bat. I mean, it takes so much of the strategy out of the managing the game, and if baseball goes to that in both leagues, I don't know. I might lose interest, but I'm getting fed up with the Dodgers. 2 years. This is 2 seasons in a row. I can't watch the Dodgers. They're only available on one cable. This Time Warner bought the Dodgers the rights, and they're only available in, I think it's 40% of LA County. It is available where I live, but I have DirecTV, and I have DirecTV for the NFL Network because I like to watch all the Jets games, and I'm not going to change. I'm not going to change to Time Warner, and I'm very disappointed with the Dodgers. I mean, they took all the money. They took a lot of money from this cable company, and they didn't care less whether the games are shown on TV or not. And these are Vince Scully. Vince Scully is probably the best announcer in sports. Definitely the best announcer in baseball. And these are his last years. I mean, this was supposed to be his last year, but since they All of LA can't see him. I guess he's agreed to do one more year. He only does the home games now. I mean, he's been doing Dodger games since they were in Brooklyn. And if the Dodgers, if I can't watch the Dodgers game next year, that's 3 years in a row. And for me, 3 strikes and you're out. And you know what? I think I'm done with them. I mean, I gave up on baseball in '94, was it? When they canceled the World Series. So it wouldn't be the first time I gave up on baseball. And I actually started watching baseball again when Manny Ramirez came to the Dodgers, and it was Manny Wood and all the hype, and it got me interested again. And I've been watching baseball. My wife, she watched every Dodger game, and she's really kind of ticked off too. And I don't know if the Dodgers, if I can't watch the Dodgers next year, I might become a Mets fan. You know, I know my brother. He's way more hardcore Dodger fan than I am. I mean, he can name stats and players from bygone years, and he's really fed up with them. And the Dodger organization needs to wake up, dude. But anyways, take care, guys and gals. Where's that stop button? Take care. Have a good weekend.